Hi, everybody. This is Lee Gerstmann and Charles Traynor on the Lee Gerstmann Show with special guest Charles Traynor. How are you doing, Charles?
Doing great. We're brought to you by ChatGPT, the most fun picture making site in the world.
Yeah.
I gotta thank Lee for turning me on to that. Yeah. Made a couple funny ones of Lee.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah. I made some of my kids joking pictures and stuff. It's
You
fun.
know, I thought of one. I didn't do it, but I'll tell you because I think you might think it's funny. It will be of you throwing a picture of Blur and me like crawling on legs like I'm a dog with my mouth open and you say fetch. No, I mean Oasis album.
Yeah.
Yeah, you throw an Oasis album at me and I'm a dog with my mouth open and you say fetch.
Fetch.
Yeah.
And then bring it back.
Yeah.
And don't slobber on it too much.
Oh, that would be cool too, yeah.
But you gave away what we're doing on this one. We're doing their rival, Blur.
Yeah.
The eternal rival of Oasis. Shit, I can't think of what's some other people that just can't stand each other. Oh, Noel and Liam Gallagher.
Oh.
Groups. What do they like say? The Stones and the Beatles, allegedly. That was kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
That really wasn't true.
But, yeah, it wasn't.
But Blur and Oasis, yeah, they didn't like each other too much. Liam Gallagher still doesn't care for them, and
all right,
Noel Gallagher's left to go. But yeah, you can say what the album is.
The Ballad of Darren.
This happens to be their up-to-date last solo album. It was made a couple years ago.
Yeah.
2023, I believe.
I remember there was a guy, I don't think he would mind if I mention his name because I think he wanted to be a chef. Darren Barossi. He was in our school and we were in a class together and he was demonstrating his technique of making food. And I wanted to try some, and another guy who I won't mention his name because if I see him again I want to be cool with him, took the plate and I wasn't able to eat it and there wasn't more left and I was very annoyed because Darren was a cool guy and I wanted to try his food. So for me, if I did an album, The Ballad of Darren, it would be the ballad of me missing eating Darren's food.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
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 But yeah,
we have done Blur in the past. I know we did.
I know.
Life.
Well, oh, okay. I didn't remember the name of the album. I'm not sure how many albums they did, but to me,
I can't say I know either because
I'm
kind of late to the Blur dance. I gave them a chance.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity. And I don't hate all their stuff.
I don't hate all of it either.
I don't love all of their stuff either.
I definitely don't love all of it either.
But the band is Damon Albarn on lead vocals, I guess writes some shit. He played piano a bit on this album.
All right.
Dave Roundtree on drums, Alex James on bass, and the only guy who I really, really do respect actually totally because of his talent is Graham Coxon on guitar. That's the lineup. And it's the Ballad of Darren. We might as well get into it because I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, you didn't know the album until you just decided to try it?
I asked you for this a year or so.
Oh, okay.
I
So
just forgot.
Oh, okay. So you do know. Okay, it's like it was on the shelf and you took it off the shelf.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know
no,
of it, but I don't
I
know.
dig that. I
No.
I have plenty of things that I probably put on the shelf, and then they become part of the detour shelf because other things get on the shelf. Anyway, who wants to start?
You can go first.
All right. The first song is the ballad. Okay. It's certainly artistic and creative and eccentric, which are all three things that I like. And after a while, I got to where I was able to appreciate it more. So I won't say I totally dislike it, but I will say his vocals aren't quite to my liking. And there's a little bit too much of a smug attitude that distracts from the inventiveness. But it's still interesting enough for me to want to know what else they'll do. What do you think?
Well, it's odd to me they start with a piano ballad on the album, and then it's got a drum machine, which is a bit of a head scratcher because I'm using that because I think Dave Rowntree is a solid drummer. But well, I mean, you do like by the second verse, you get him a bit, and it's a strange mishmash of sounds. Part piano ballad, then electro pop type of song.
Yeah.
Graham Cox's guitar is very subtle here, but solid. Auburn to me sounded a bit Bowie-esque on this track. It's decent, but it's nothing that floors me, other than a sound here or there. But a little too downtrodden to open an album with. I mean, I'd lean towards liking it, but definitely don't love it by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. What do you think of St. Charles Square?
I'd opened up the album with this track, actually. Auburn put a naughty lyric there. Yeah, it's not something he did a lot with this group. He does it with the Gorillaz, but not so much with them. But it isn't gratuitous, so it's not a problem. Graham Coxon's guitar is all over this track, showcasing his unique riffs that he comes up with. And Alex James and Roundtree's bass and drums are locked in great here. There's a solid rhythm section. Again, it's a solid song and not bad for this group at this point at time, but I'd struggle to call this a classic. It does have that certain charm that Blur can have. So this one is a bit more of my thing versus the ballad, but I still struggle to give it a glowing review. How about a partly sunny review for St. Charles Square?
Okay, I put this song has moments that could have been good because the song itself seemed like it was fun for them to do, but I'm not a fan of the feedback and lo-fi sound type. It's the sort of thing that makes me think they recorded it for themselves so they could hear it back and laugh while chugging beers. That's fine, but it also sounds like they did it knowing it wasn't good enough for other people to like. But their producer released it anyway and people liked it, so what do I know? Okay, now for the next song, Barbaric. With the last two songs, the songs themselves were alright, but the way they played them I didn't care for. This song, the way they played it was pretty good, but I didn't really care for the song itself, so they changed it up. But the issue I have with the song is minor compared to the issues with the other songs, which aren't really a big deal either. So this gets boosted up to a little bit better than the first two songs. And even though it's not great, it's at least okay. So I can grudgingly accept it. What do you think?
Well, this and the ballad sound very much like their work on the album Think Tank. So if you like that style, you won't mind this nor the ballad. And if you don't, you'll say, what the hell? I'm closer to the what the hell side of the house.
Me too.
I prefer the more rocking, for Blur rocking, not like Black Sabbath rocking or something, but like for them when they do try to rock. Then this electro mishmash thing. Alex James' bass work is pretty cool on it. But this sounds like an attempt to do a Weezer track as if Weezer only did electro pop. Yeah, this was barbaric to listen to. Very much a lame track, in my estimation.
Okay, what do you think of Russian Strings?
Well, the way it starts for a fleeting moment, I thought we were going into like a monster track, and then it turns into some mellow piano again, with odd production on the drums. Or it could be a mix with a drum machine again. I'm not a fan of the drum sound, but at least there's something of more substance here. It reminds me slightly of the track The Universal they made back in the day, which I enjoy that song. So this one doesn't bother me as much as some of the more electro-pop sounding tracks. Coxon's guitar has an almost Hawaiian sound at points. So this is a more solid track than the mellow style ones thus far, I think.
Okay, this is the most annoying song yet, and I didn't like it at all. It's like, so far Blur is purposefully putting one little element in each song to make it ever so subtly something I won't like, and this time they put in 5 or 6. I'll pass. Alright, now for the Everglades. For Leonard. I sure hope that he isn't referring to Leonard Cohen, because this doesn't come close to Cohen's work. The one thing I do like about this song is what seems to be the intention to let the song be its natural self. And he's singing it in his best awkward, not very great, but still honest voice. And even though the song is mediocre at best, and the sound effects don't really distract or add anything, but don't detract either, but it's refreshing for him to put something out as his way of admitting the reason he puts annoying elements in most of his songs are to make them stand out because he knows they're not very good. And this time he's presenting evidence of it in a clear way. So I find it still not a great song, but its honest intentions make it the best so far, solely because I feel he really tried to do something good without succeeding, but I admire the attempt. What do you think?
That might have been the single longest analysis on a half-assed song I've ever heard from Lee.
Thank you.
If there was people that could applaud, they would applaud right now. The Everglades for Leonard. Graham Coxon, and by the way, all my reviews of this song is against their previous work, really. It's not.
I totally understand.
So if I say it's good, I'm not saying it's good.
I hear
Coxon plays acoustic guitar on this, and very well, I might add. Heavy on strings here. I'm not sure who the hell Leonard is. I didn't think Leonard Cohen. I was thinking maybe Leonard Washington or something. I don't know.
Okay, that sounds good.
Song for him. Yeah, I don't know. I really haven't a clue what it's about, but it's a decent little song. I do like the feel to this one, but I am getting like too mellowed out at this point. There's like no rocking tunes thus far, really. St. Charles Square is about as close to you get. I guess they're older here, so it's supposed to make sense. But I put it in the same boat as Russian Strings. For me, one of the better ones on the album to this point.
Okay.
This album, yeah.
All right. What do you think of The Narcissist?
It was the lead single, has that think tank feel to it again, more drum machines. And while I enjoy Coxon's guitar work, and he had some stellar backing vocals, this one almost seems a bit too hard to try to outdo either the Arctic Monkeys or even Coldplay here. I'm not sure if Allmern had too much influence on this record or what. It's a fine track, but not the sound I enjoy from this band. But I'm also not a big fan of that album, Think Tank, so therefore I don't care for The Narcissist that much. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay, but it's also an honest song that had parts that were borderline okay, except I didn't like the backing vocalists, but I eventually understood they were there to try to elevate the song from mediocre to irritating. And they did do their job. But so far his best work sounds like the throwaway tunes of a better artist who knew it wasn't worth much and decided to toss it. Well, those are his best tunes. And though they're not great, at least I prefer the songwriting ineptness to the musical pretentious stuff. Okay, now for Goodbye Albert. The first few songs were quite irritating and somewhat okay writing-wise, but not fantastic. These songs that came after them were at least attempting to sound okay and sounded mediocre at best, but still amateurish and forgettable. And this one is another of those, but I still prefer it to the totally annoying stuff. What do you think?
Well, we hit the first electro-pop-ish sounding song here. I didn't mind too much. I could have done without some of the effects on the backing vocals, but Auburn sounds all right here, and both Coxon and James get to show off a bit. Coxon's guitar has that buzzsaw sound he excels at. And this one came out pretty dandy, if you ask me. One of the better ones on this album that is trying to be of the moment in electro, so I kind of like this one.
All right. What do you think of Far Away Island?
This is an interesting one, utilizing some waltz time, which I am an eternal sucker for. And that's a bit more akin to some of their work on Modern Life is Rubbish or Park Life. More mellow here again. Could have really been done with a little more pep on this record thus far, and this song is the same way. The electric piano is good here, as well as some rather lush vocals. Coxon's guitar solo sounds as if it's from another planet, which he excels at. Surprised that mind, I can't find much fault with this track. I thought it was a very solid one.
All right. I put at least the sound effects were interesting and helped the song by 1%. But it's still a noble attempt at doing something decent and barely achieving mediocrity and ultimately forgettable, but I'm not offended by it. Okay, so now the next song, Avalon. Oh, a song that was actually written well and had a good arrangement also. Okay. So now I know he can write at least one good song. Maybe a few more, but this one is good enough for now. It's cool. What do you think?
Well, so far this one is about as up-tempo as St. Charles Square, and it's about time. This has a Kinks type feel to it, especially in the chorus. If the Kinks did modern electro music, I can give Blur credit trying to marry their past and look forward a bit with this track. This one has a more of a Park Life type feel, the album, than Think Tank, which is great for me, at least. And at least we get live drums. Another solid track here. I think the chorus is what saves it. I think it's the best part of it.
Right on. What do you think of the last song, The Heights?
Well, it's a song that it allows Coxon to show off his prowess on guitar. There isn't too many here on this record, so it's a refreshing song for that end because he's one hell of a talent. Not a massive fan of the production on the drums here again, attempting to sound a bit too hip-hop on the bass drum, but that's a style choice. This one is the guitarist's dream, though, here. Glad they went out on this album with this style to show off their talented guitarist. But overall, I'd go with a solid C for the album. Not too bad, but they have better.
Okay. I didn't love the song, and it was somewhat amateurish, but what was interesting was that it sounded different. As if maybe he wrote it when he was trying to be someone else. Someone equally mediocre, but at least someone else. And he did achieve that. It sounded awkward and clumsy, like a little kid picking up the guitar for the first time and strumming not very great stuff and singing lyrics that were pointless. But the kid's parents are happy that he's showing enthusiasm for music. And I share that enthusiasm for this guy. I appreciate how he's trying his best. Even if his stuff is technically not great most of the time, nor to my liking, but at least I don't begrudge him the attempt at trying, like I would with other musicians. So there you go.
Yeah, they get the A for effort from Lee Gersman and
The
D for substance.
A for ass effort. But
Yeah,
at least
ass
the
effort.
ass was working its butt off.
Yeah. So now you see that the Master Plan's a great Britpop album.
No,
No.
but I see
Oh,
that at least
it's better than
they
this.
knew what they were doing. They weren't doing great, but they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and these guys are just clueless.
That's what but like I said, not me, because even when I was 5 in 1970, I still wrote good songs. But imagine a kid blindfolded and with earplugs in his ears so he can't hear anything, but a gun is pointed to him and he reads lips saying, play something, and he does. This guy's a little better than that kid by a little bit.
Well, there you go. Pat him on the head on the way out. And
Yeah.
sorry I brought this one up because, like I said,
Hey,
a C is being nice.
I didn't. You know what? I didn't hate listening to it because I thought, you know what? This is awkward and weird, and I don't like it, but at least I felt more comfortable with it than I did with other albums that I don't like. Only because I felt like he probably was nervous and feeling like he didn't want criticism, and I didn't want to criticize him because he's sensitive. But I could imagine I tell him that song was not 100% totally fine, and he would cry and say, "Daddy, he said it wasn't 100% totally fine," and his dad would come with a fist and say, "But wait, I thought it was at least 99% intentionally trying for fine, even if 1% only worked." But I would say that like 99% trying, even though only put some of the, and see what happened, kind of like that.
What's crazy is if you only knew the real history of the group, you're not that far off. So
yeah, I mean, I will say that
crazy.
From what I remember from Park Life, I think I like that a lot more.
Yes, I agree.
And so I'm only talking about this album. I'm thinking he tried to make Roxy Music's Avalon, but without having heard it, but only reading Chat GPT prompts about it, and then trying to mimic it, but without the smarts or the time period of using Chat GPT to help him.
Yeah.
So, hey. Yeah.
He'd have been better off, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay.
It's not like I won't ever hear it again. Like some albums that I say that to and end up actually listening to over and over again because people, not you, but other people I know nag me to do it. and then sometimes I apologize and sometimes I get even meaner. But I didn't dislike reviewing it. At least
good.
you know that much.
You don't have to worry about me blowing you up with these tracks. Just maybe more Master Plan to get you to see the greatness there.
Well, you know what? Maybe I might listen to that again. You know what?
It'd be better than this.
I'm not going to say it's better, but I'm also not going to say it's worse. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Equal. Yeah.
I'm not
Can't win 'em
necessarily
all.
saying it's equal. I'm just saying it's different.
That's,
But okay. I'll
That's
put
fair.
it to you like this. Overall, Oasis, when they're good, is a better band. When they're
Yeah.
good. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
It's that best you can say. It's all
Yeah.
personal choice. It's all personal choice. That's all it is. But this
Yeah.
album was mediocre at best. I'd probably be more interested in listening to the new Sabrina Carpenter album when it comes out.
I don't even.
You don't need to know. You just need to see the cover. It's making all the news.
I think I know about her enough to. Is she like a new country artist?
No, actually, the song I heard did sound kind of countryish, but no, she's a pop girl. And pop people.
Unless I'm force fed it, I'm good.
I won't. No, I won't. I was mainly teasing. So.
No, I know.
But you would like the album cover, though. I guarantee you that.
I will like the album cover.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Okay. But what I will say is, if you're not against listening sometime to Ashley Simpson, she has some interesting stuff.
That would be a fair trade for sure, I would say.
Because even though she had that Saturday Night Live fiasco, the point is, musically, I was very, very surprised at how versatile, in very strange ways, she is. And one album of hers, actually, her first album.
I thought you were really into Mandy Moore.
Huh?
I thought Mandy Moore was your jam.
There was one album that surprised me that was good, but I mean, no, not really.
Just one album.
Yeah, but Ashley Simpson, one album of hers is like, in comparison, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And then the next album is more like maybe a more conventional version of the soundtrack More. And then her last album is more like maybe the anthology called A Collection of Great Dance Songs. So it's
Gilmore totally remade Money on that.
Yeah. So all I know is that it's like the first album is like she's dressed in a regular dress. The second album is she's dressed in a fur coat. And then the third album is she's dressed in like this really weird rainbow tent tarp, kind of like that.
Oh.
As
long as we can do the Roger Waters spoken word Dark Side of the Moon.
Do you really want to do that?
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh my word! Did you hear it?
Yes.
You heard the whole damn thing?
Yes.
Oh.
More than once.
Ouch. You know what?
Reminded me of some Leonard Cohen-esque type work, if you ask me.
Now that you tell me that, if I listen with that in mind, I can get through it. But I was like, dear, I don't mind you being
You don't
fat.
like Dark Side of the You don't
It's-
like Dark Side of the Moon that much anyway.
It's like, dear, I don't mind you being fat, but instead of 500 pounds, can you at least trim to 499?
Yeah,
And
you
this
don't
album
Dark
is
Side
like,
anyway.
I'm sorry, but I'm 501 now. You know what? I said this to other people, and I'll say it to you. The one thing that I have to thank Roger Waters for is I was not a fan of the original album, but after hearing his Redux, I like the original much more. And that's
Well,
sad.
we
But
don't
I
care.
like the final cut. So this is like the final, deeper torture cut. But I'll do it.
No, we don't need to.
We
I
could.
know what you feel. It's good.
We could,
I don't want to be made to feel too much dumb.
No,
I
it's
already fixed.
I'm not against it in principle. It's just that I'll need to drink hundreds of cups of coffee to keep awake hearing.
Yeah.
And then when I do the review,
I may hate it. You don't know.
huh?
I may hate it.
And I think that Roger Waters is a hero as far as my lyrical heroes are concerned. But I mean, between him and Dylan, I would say at least Dylan always had the sensibility to at most do only maybe mediocre albums at worst, not horribly boring.
I get you, man.
All right.
We need to wrap this one up.
Okay.
We got a few more reviews to do.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye, folks. The new Blur album sucks.